This video is highlighting how to conduct a continuity test. There are several times when you might conduct a continuity test, but two primary times.
There are three primary times that you will conduct a continuity test. First, before cutting the cable to begin a retermination effort. Second, after you cut a cable for a retermination, but before you start attaching a new end. Third, after you completed a retermination, but before you plug the new termination into the camera.
Times, first, after you are done with a retermination, to make sure that the cables have all been soldered into the right location. If you soldered the cables into the wrong location, fail to conduct a continuity test and plug the camera in, you could fry the camera, which could result in very large maintenance costs and well in excess of $8,000 if you burn the wrong chips. So you conduct it after you're done with a retermination. You should also conduct it before you conduct a retermination. Sometimes operators come in saying the cable needs to be retermed, but really the problem is somewhere else. So before you cut that cable, conduct a continuity test to ensure there is in fact a problem with one of the wires inside the cable. If there's not a problem inside the wire, or if the continuity test does not identify a problem, that does not necessarily mean that a retermination does not need to happen. But you'll want to investigate it further before you cut that wire. Another time when you may conduct a continuity test is, or when you should conduct a continuity test, is when you are going to conduct a retermination and you cut this cable off. Before you go through the work of reterminating that cable, you're going to want to continuity test the wires inside of the cable so that you can be sure that that cable is good. Because if you do the whole retermination and then conduct another continuity test and it doesn't work, that was a waste of time. What might happen is there might be a break further up in the wire. So after I cut this, I'm going to do a continuity test quick to make sure this does need to be cut. After I cut it, I'm going to do another continuity test to make sure that there's not a problem further up the wire before I spend the time and money putting on a new end. So first, I'll show you how to conduct a normal continuity test. I like to set up like this with a light so that I can see the numbers right here. Another piece you're going to need for sure is this paper. And essentially what we are going to do is go down the line and check these wires from one to the other. So it's important to note that this side is for the cable termination part right here. And this side is for the connector pin right here. So usually what I will do is identify this side first, place my meter reader in there, and then place a meter reader over here. Okay, so the first step, you're going to want to turn the meter to that symbol, and you should hear it beep. I will test it to make sure that it is working. So in order to test it, I'm just going to take the two testers ends and touch them together, and I should hear a beep. Okay, so my first I'm going to check is white to white. Okay, so what I will do is I will take this cable end right here. I will find A, which is white. I will go ahead and put my tester in there. Okay, and then I will find the same on the other end, A. Once I have A to A, I won't get a beep on A when I do A to A, but I should get a reading. So I can see that my white cable is actually good, even though I don't hear a beep. Now,
your reading should be above 60. The reading depends upon the length of the cable. The longer the cable, the weaker the reading. Check the bottom of the cheat sheet for the equation detailing the exact expected reading.
Now all the rest of them, I won't pay attention to the reading. I will just listen for a beep. So next, I am going to do black B to B. And so when we're testing, when we have not cut the wire, we can use the B to B, right? I can look in here and I can see which one is B. That one's B. Now when I cut this cable, then I'm going to have to use the color coding on here, the black, red, black, orange, so on and so forth. But when the cable's still on, I can use B to B. Okay, I've got a good reading there. Now I will go C to C. And again, I'm just following that sheet. Okay, I got a good reading there. And I'm going to continue doing that until I get through all the wires. If they're all toned and the white wire didn't necessarily tone but had a good reading, then it's good, and I'm safe to plug it back in. Okay, I finished that continuity test on this cable right here, following this sheet, and it all came back as a good reading. Now this was a reel that was brought into me saying that it needed to be returned. So I am questioning whether this actually needs to be cut and returned. I'm going to take it into a vehicle that I know is working and plug it in and see if I can get it working. Because like I said, sometimes operators bring these cables in saying they need to be returned, but really the problem is upstream or somewhere else. Now, here's the type of return that you want to do before you actually complete the retermination. So guy brought in a reel, said that it needed retermination. I checked the pins like you saw earlier in the video, and indeed one of the wires was not working. I've now cut the wire in preparation to do the retermination. However, I want to now continuity test the bare wire to make sure that whatever the problem was downstream of my cut. Because if I do a retermination and the problem was actually upstream, when I'm done with that retermination and I continuity test it before I put it in the vehicle to make sure I soldered everything correctly and it doesn't work, that was a waste of about $400 of parts and probably about 2 hours of my time. So as you can see, the wire is cut. I exposed back the wires. And now I'm simply going to continuity test them just as I would earlier in the video. The only difference is now instead of being able to use this A, B, C, D indicator right here, what I'm going to have to do is still use the A, B, C, D indicator on the pin connector, but for the cable termination, I'm actually going to have to use the wire color. And the only really tricky part, all the colors match, except as you can see, we have a white wire here and a white wire down here, a black wire here and a black wire here. So how do you tell the difference? These two wires are always in the core part of the cable. So when you peel this wire back, waiting for it to focus here, there we go. You can see that the center wires, this white and black, these are the ones that are further down on the pin sheet. So that's this black wire here and this white wire here. They're just like all the other wires. Now, the two unique black and white wires are actually found in here. The black being the shield, which I'll cut back and show you in a moment, and the white being the internal wire. So I will cut this back and show you, but it's this wire here and this wire here. These are the two internal wires. Okay, so I peeled back the wires so that you can see. Remember, these are the two normal white and black wires right here. They look like just like all the other ones. This was that center wire. Now I've opened it up and peeled it back, and you can see this is the outside sheath. That's considered the top black wire on this diagram. So right here, that outside sheath is considered the top black wire. And then I'm going to show you this white wire. This white wire was actually inside of that sheath that we consider the black wire. Okay, so the sheath I pulled out, I had to pull the wire out and then strip it. So now I'm going to conduct the continuity test touching these wires. So right now I've just put the connector into the black, into A, which is black, into A, which is white, and I'm going to test this white wire. Now remember, when I touch them, I shouldn't get a beep. This is the one wire when I don't get a beep, but I get a reading. Now I don't get a reading here, so I know that there's some problem upstream in this wire. So now I'll check this black, the sheath. So I'm gonna put it on here, on the sheath, and I'll put the other wire on black. I get a beep. So I know that that wire is good. So somewhere upstream, this white wire has a break. Now, if I were to do the retermination, it would all be for naught, because the problem wasn't actually in the termination of the cable. The problem is somewhere upstream of the cable, there's a break. It may even be a problem in the reel. But at least we know we're not wasting our time now. So this is going to take a lot of diagnosis to figure out where the problem is. But I know the problem is not down here, and the problem was not in the cable termination. The problem is somewhere upstream from this point in the wire.
Now you know how to conduct a continuity test, and the 3 times you will find yourself conducting a continuity test. Use a cheat sheet, follow the steps, and pay attention to the meter.